Welcome back to your winner tutorial. In this segment we are going to cover spell checking. So please get back into your editor and open a file. Now there are a couple different ways that you can spell check in your winner software. You will notice that you have an icon on your toolbar that says ABC check. The only purpose of this icon is to start at the very beginning of your transcript. So if you're on page 150 and you click on this icon, it will start from the beginning of the document. Our spell checker is set up a lot like Microsoft Word or WordPerfect. So when it stops on a word and a proper name, you will want to type in, if it's not on the list, the way you want it to remember the name, and then you could say change or change all. As far as proper names are concerned, change all is probably your best bet. Here's another one. Proper name, change all, and it will continue to go like that. You can also say ignore and ignore all. So if I depress ignore, it will skip it. I'm going to say ignore all on the next one, and I'm going to say ignore again. Now let's say that this particular word is not on my spell checker. It's a last name and I want to add it permanently to my spell checker. Then again, I want to type it in, but this time I want to click on the add button. When I do the add button, it is permanently added to my spell checker. Same thing with any kind of designations for names. I'm going to type it and I'm going to click on add. Now as we go down through the software, and I'm going to continue to say ignore all, and let's say I get here to this area and I see something that's wrong and I want to fix it. So when I click on cancel and I click on OK, I now can go here and fix whatever it is I need to fix. Now the problem with stopping spell checking is you never want to go back and click on this icon again. You do it to start spell checking from the beginning of the document. That's its only purpose in life. If you stop spell checking for any reason and you want to start spell checking from where your cursor is, then you are going to use Alt F1. Alt F1 will start spell checking from your cursor. Again, I'm going to say ignore, and I'm going to continue to ignore. And we are going to ignore all on this, and ignore all on this. Now, spell checker also picks up repeated words. And as you and I all know, there are times that you will have sentences that will have things like that, or in this instance it was cost her her job. Spell check does stop on these items. You will just click on ignore because it's saying up here repeated word. Ignore, and we're going to continue to ignore. And here again, it's saying not in dictionary, the word pre-marked. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that to my spell checker. So this is what it's going to do. Misadministered. It doesn't recognize that word, and so I would be typing it in. This is how the spell checker works. Do not forget that it's saying not in dictionary misadministered. If you click add, it is not going to add this word. You must retype it in the change to line before clicking the add button. Now, another part of spell check that I want to go over with you is, let's say for a moment that, and I'm just going to add a letter to this word, and I'm going to say, okay, I don't know if I spelled it right. If you do Alt F2, Alt F2, if it's incorrect, will bring up the list. It's saying the word should be might, which is correct, and I will say change. Now, if the word that I need to look up, let's say medications, and I do Alt F2 because I'm not sure how to spell it, if it's correct, all you will get is checked words 1, incorrect 0. So that tells you that you have spelled the word correctly. If it's incorrectly spelled, you will see a list of words coming from spell check. ProCat also has another feature, and it is called autoproof. If you do Control F5, you need to watch for this little window. This little window is saying I have a duplicate question or answer. So if I'm looking down here, it's thinking that, and probably what occurred here is I may have had a question here and it still knows that, but it's telling me I have a duplicate question or answer. Now, let me get that back up for you again. It's saying duplicate Q or A. Do I want to ignore it or do I want to edit it? Again, I'm going to ignore it, but if I say edit, it will go away and I can fix this. So I'm going to say ignore. Again, it thinks I have a duplicate question because I have a question here and a question here. It does not understand that there's colloquy in between. Now, just for your information, ProCat is going to make a change to this spell checker so that it will no longer do this. So that should be coming out very shortly. So don't despair. I'm going to say ignore, and it's going to continue to look for these types of things. Some of the other things that this will pick up, and that's why we call it autoproof, are things like duplicate punctuation, no punctuation at the end of a sentence, double Q's and A's, double colloquy, so of the same name. So it's always a good idea to run autoproof before your final print, and that is Control F5. Okay, just as a review, if you're at the end of your document and you want to start spell checking, you can click on the spell check icon. That will take you to the beginning of the document and start spell checking. If you need to start spell checking from your cursor, the command then is Alt F1. If you need to check the spelling of a word only, a single word, it's Alt F2. And as you can see on this list, it has picked the word questions, however it has it capitalized, and that's not what I want, and I'm going to say change. If you need to do autoproof, it's Control F5. So those are the items available to you for spell checking. Also, just as a reminder, I'm going to go right back out to the main menu, and the other day I was in one of the segments I was talking about the spelling dictionary. Let's open it for a minute. As you can see, some of the words that I added in this session, like RMR, have been placed into my auxiliary spell checker. So any words, as you're adding them, here's another one, Latva. As you are adding these words as you're spell checking, they will come to this area. Don't forget, if you've spelled a word wrong and you've added it to your spell checker, just come to the auxiliary dictionary area and highlight the word. You can delete it or you can update the spelling of it, just as a reminder to you. This concludes our segment on spell checking. I will be back in a moment and we are going to talk about our word indexing. Be back in a second.